but my introduction to investigative journalism began 7 years ago when we had the Las Vegas shooting, and that was October 1st, 2017. And on that day, I was kind of in between jobs. I had a new job all lined up, and I was getting ready to go work there in, I guess it was 8 weeks. So December 1st, I was starting at the Four Seasons as their photographer. So I was going to be the wedding photographer, the staff photographer at the Koh Samui Four Seasons Resort. So October 1st, I was kind of sitting pretty. I was psyched. It's like I had this job lined up, and I had an office, and I was just kind of making the transition from that, which I had been doing, to getting ready to go run a photo studio at the Four Seasons. And the event takes place October 1st. And so when it takes place, I'm in Thailand, and it's noon. So 10 p.m. Las Vegas time is noon in Thailand. And I'm watching all this stuff take place on Drudge Report and Facebook and Twitter, and kind of in real time. And
I was too.
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing from Sheriff Joe Lombardo at 1:30 in the morning, and what I'm seeing on people's cell phone video, it's not adding up. And I ended up spending the next 8 days in a row at my office. I got a cot and a sleeping bag and just stayed at work. And 8 days later, I saw the first helicopter, and I realized it was an aerial attack. And the next day I saw the second one, and the next day I saw the third one. And it wasn't Maverick, and it wasn't Sundance, and it wasn't the police. It was bad guys. And they weren't showing up on flight radar. I was like, well, who's flying around the airport and not showing up on flight radar? You can't do that.
Right.
And that's when I realized, holy mackerel, this is an aerial attack. And then November 5th, we had the night of the long sword in Riyadh, when MBS arrested Bakr bin Laden and Maiteb bin Abdullah, Mohammed bin Nayef, Al-Walid bin Talal, arrests them all. And everybody at Stratfor and the Brookings group and all that, they're all like, what the hell is going on? MBS has lost his mind. No, not at all.
Your theory is that this was a hit on MBS, and he was in Vegas at the time?
Yeah. He was at the Four Seasons, 3 floors up from Stephen Paddock's room. And Stephen Paddock didn't shoot anybody. Stephen Paddock was the first to die that night. He is the one who provided the weapons. All right, so it's always helpful if you can get a white guy to bring all the weapons up, right? You get the old white guy, bring all the weapons up to the room. And so here's kind of how I see it. What do I think happened that night? And of course, this is going to be speculation, but speculation based on the evidence. The evidence is that he's got a minivan in the parking garage. The hell do you need a minivan for? He's also got 3 women registered to the room with him. Now, most people don't know. So there's 3 women checked into the room: Katie, Laura, and Joanne. Now, if you guys
none of those were his wife, that Asian woman, right?
No, that's Mary Lou Danley, and Mary Lou Danley he sent to the Philippines, sent her 100 because he thought he's got a new girlfriend, and his new girlfriend is hot. And his new girlfriend's got 2 other girlfriends. And they said, hey, Steven, we got these friends of ours who are kind of like high roller kind of guys, like they're the guys who buy all those Arabian horses. And
I've heard about the parties of these princes, like, where they just come over to the U.S. and handpick, they pay these women, these actresses, thousands of dollars to come over there. And, that's just a couple hundred women and like just him and his boys. So
nothing wrong.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with
that. No.
So, Right. So somewhere there are these guys in Vegas with their gold wrapped Lamborghinis, right? And the Ferrari 455s, and they're going up and down Vegas Boulevard. I mean, it's every day, right? They're out there. Everybody knows they're there. So three women honeypot Stephen Paddock and said to Stephen, listen, we got some friends, they're high roller guys. They want to go out to the desert and shoot. And the gun laws are such that, like, if you guys want to go out to the desert and shoot, I don't know, I got 24 guns here, right? I pack up the truck with a bunch of guns, a bunch of stuff that goes boom, a bunch of smoke grenades, a bunch, right? I got all this stuff. I got the little orange things, we got the smoke, we got the flamethrowers, and we put everything in the car. We go out and we have a blast out in the desert. And if one of you guys looks at one of my guns and says, oh, dude, you got the Colt monoblock upper on the Santan lower home, dude, I'd give you $5,000 for that right now. And I'd say, yeah, all right, we'd do it for $5,000 with the optic and everything. That's about right. And we're allowed to do that as long as none of you guys are, are felony, right? If you haven't been convicted of a felony, we're allowed to buy guns.
They sell those. They sell like the excursions that you can go, shoot whatever machine guns, all that kind of stuff when you're on the strip.
Privately, I can sell any of you guys any of my guns privately as long as you're not a felon. That's perfectly legal. So if we want to go out to the desert and A, go shoot stuff, and B, one of you guys whips $5,000 out of his pocket and says, I'll give you $5,000 for that AR. This thing is smooth as silk. I've never shot anything like it. I want it. I'll give you $5,000. That's totally legal. There's no illicit behavior here. We don't need the FBI. We don't need the CIA. There's no gun running horse shit. It's just a guy with 20 guns taking a bunch of other guys out to the desert. Now, he's got 3 women checked into the room with him.
And so Paddock was known to deal with weapons, right?
Well, hang on. Irrelevant. He's a shooter, right? The guy has got 3 women in the room, and he's got a minivan and a Hyundai Tucson, which tells me he's expecting 4 guys. 3 or 4 guys are coming shooting with him the next day. So now if you've got a minivan and 24 guns, but you've got 3 girls and 3 or 4 more dudes coming, is 24 guns out of the question for 8 of you? No, that's only 3 guns per person. That's not crazy.
Yeah, especially if it's if you're an enthusiast like he was.
That's right. Now, this is where we get into, well, wait a second. The music between the notes. Music is the space between the notes. Otherwise, it would just sound like, right? It'd be real annoying. So we need the space between the notes. What do I mean by that? What's missing? Well, we got a whole suitcase of AK-47 magazines and no AK-47s. I never bring a whole bunch of loaded magazines for a weapon that I'm not planning to shoot that day. Why would you have a whole suitcase of AK-47 magazines and no AK-47s? Oh, because somebody took the AK-47s and went upstairs. There's a suitcase of AK-47 magazines in the suite, but no AK-47s are inventoried, nor are these magazines. But the cops mention them. And they say, well, there's a whole suitcase of AK-47 magazines. And yet there's no AK-47s in the room. So would the bad guys have taken the AK-47s when they went upstairs instead of AR-15s? Of course they would have. Right, so that's why we don't see any AK-47s, because they've been taken and they are missing and they went upstairs with them. So the next thing that we realize is that there's no gunfire coming from room 32-135 at all. None. 0. Because the window isn't broken when they breach the room. So when the cops breach the room, Stephen Paddock's room, the window isn't broken. So if the window isn't broken, windows in Vegas don't open an inch. So there's no way to shoot people outside unless you break the glass. And when they come into the room, what has been edited out of most reporting is that the window's not broken.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did you find that information out? because that's pretty damning information.
So I listened to multiple body cams, and one of the body cams had no video. It was just like black noise, just like the video feed was nothing. Like somebody was sitting in a dark car, and it wasn't picking up anything. But all the audio was the SWAT channel, and I don't think they intended for us to get that. And so I'm going to play a clip for you guys if I can. And this is the conversation in room 32135, right after the room is breached. And what you're hearing is the conversation between Lieutenant Corey Mickelson, who's the top guy in the room right here, and the SWAT team that's outside by the Luxor. So let's listen to this video clip and see what you guys think about this, because I think this is pretty damning here. Bear with me as I set this up.
Yep.
Here we go.
Get right here. We are facing north. We are facing north.
Just confirming that is you guys. That's in the broken window that faces the Luxor.
We are facing the left floor. We do not have a broken window.
Okay, copy. It looks like you might have another room that has a broken window that also faces the Luxor off that north end. There's a little bit of movement unknown if it's going to be the curtains or not. I'm going to be working to get a better eye on it.
Get right here. We are facing north. We are facing north.
Just confirming that is you guys. That's in the broken window that faces the Luxor.
We are facing the left floor. We do not have a broken window.
Wow. What the fuck?
I mean, right. So this is a big deal because the guys outside are saying, is that you guys that we see in the broken window and the curtains are pulled back? And the guy's like,
So
no.
what, that's a floor above?
3 floors up. And so the guys outside are like, guys, I think there's another room with a broken window because we see movement in a broken window when the curtains are pulled back and you're telling us you don't have a broken window. So we're looking at some dudes in a broken window and it ain't you. So one more, let's listen to this again. All right. So one more time. Here we go. Listen to this thing through because this changes everything. This changes the whole story.
Okay, copy. It looks like you might have another room that has a broken window that also faces the Luxor off that north end. There's a little bit of movement unknown if it's going to be the curtains or not. I'm going to be working to get a better eye on it.
Okay, stand by. We've got curtains open on a window that's not broken. We're looking for broken. Okay, it is that. We have the broken.
So this guy is Lieutenant Brett Brosnahan, and he goes to the window and he pulls the curtain back and he's sticking his head out there and he says, Corey, it's not. And then we hear them having edited in additional audio. Okay, Raider, it's right here. We have the broken window. The window's not broken. He would have pulled the curtain back and said, hey guys, here's the broken window. The other thing is they show us photographs of glass and spent shell casings on the floor, which would mean Brett Brosnahan is walking on spent brass casings and broken glass, which would mean it'd be obvious which window was broken. Why are they searching around for it? If there's a whole bunch of broken glass on the floor and a whole bunch of empty shell casings right there, it shouldn't be much of a mystery as to which is the broken window. He's walking on broken glass, isn't he? No, he's not. So what these guys realize is this dead guy on the floor could not have shot the people outside. Now, the window in the little adjoining room, that there's a little adjacent room next door, that is broken. All right, so that window is broken. But this is not. He pulls back the curtain, and the window's not broken. There's another room with a broken window. And so that changes the whole story. So once you realize there's no gunfire coming from there, you then start to listen to the eyewitnesses talking about gunfire coming from helicopters. And this past week, I premiered a video with an eyewitness who was there, who was as clear as can be that there were helicopters and people in helicopters shooting at them. And it's consistent with Clarissa's testimony. It's consistent with the dog walking guy's testimony. So there's a number of witnesses that were there that said the shooters were in helicopters. And that's pretty much.
I do remember that being a narrative, like right away, hearing that. And then it definitely disappeared like a lot of other things.
Well, they were asked to cover it up by MBS so that he could catch the bad guys. And so we went with the Patsy story with Stephen Paddock. Everybody runs with that. And all of the royals in Saudi Arabia are lulled into a state of complacency. And on November 5th, they go to a party at the Riyadh Ritz-Carlton. And the doors are locked behind them. And that's when they're introduced to Blackwater. And Eric Prince's team comes in and they handle the interrogations.
Very interesting theory. Now, how would you explain like all those people getting sprayed at the concert then?
Mm-hmm. Well, the guys who set this thing up. So first of all, Jamal Khashoggi is guilty. So Jamal Khashoggi was killed October 1st, 2018 in Turkey. So the story reads, when you go and you pull up a news story, it says October 2nd. But October 2nd in Turkey is October 1st in Las Vegas. So MBS is pretty poetic. He was Jamal Khashoggi was killed on the 1-year anniversary of the Las Vegas shooting. And Jamal Khashoggi used to work for Al-Walid bin Talal and was the number 2 guy in the General Intelligence Presidency, which is the CIA in Saudi Arabia. So their CIA operations called the GIP. And the number 2 guy at the GIP was Jamal Khashoggi. So he's not a journalist, he's a spook. And he was advocating for Arab Spring in Saudi Arabia. Well, that's democracy. And democracy, when you're the king, looks like Libya, right? We're not interested in that.
Sure.
It
doesn't roll like that over there.
Yeah, don't be bringing up any Arab Spring horse shit, okay? So when Jamal Khashoggi starts advocating for Arab Spring in Saudi Arabia with the Muslim Brotherhood, that's the last straw. MBS is like, look, all of these guys, they're my cousins. You're not. You're not Assad. And so he made sandwiches out of them.
Jesus.
Yeah, he sliced them up.
And then served it to the cousins. And said, yeah, the deli meats, yeah, that's your cousin Jamal. Anybody else got any ideas? So Maitab bin Abdullah is in prison. So Maitab bin Abdullah was the head of the Saudi Arabian National Guard, which is their private army. And they have what's called exfiltration protocols, meaning if this happens, if we're out with MBS and his family and happens, what is the protocol? And there's something called an exfiltration protocol, which is where they say, sir, we need to take you and the family and we are out of here. And that's exfiltration protocol. What trips the exfiltration protocol? Bedlam. Bedlam outside the window. It was supposed to be the jet fuel tank blowing up. It was supposed to look like a Michael Bay movie.
Just blow that sucker up, then all cameras would be there.
Wait a minute. I got to step in here, John Cullen. I watched the Vegas shooting. I watched all your videos. I loved them. The helicopter narrative was your narrative. But my question is, and I don't believe this question, but I'm asking, didn't Jake Morphonios accuse you of being a federal agent?
Oh, yeah. He said I was an FBI operation and that he could prove that I wasn't in Thailand. And so there was a guy that had invited me to be on his podcast a couple times named Jason Goodman. And I contacted Jason after appearing on his show with Jake Morphonius once or twice or whatever. And I said to Jason, hey, listen, I'm going to be leaving Thailand soon. And if you want to come to Thailand and check it out and see where I did all this stuff, see my office, I'll take you to the Four Seasons and we'll have lunch there and all that. Come and I'll show you everything. And he took me up on it. So Jason Goodman flies to Bangkok. I don't tell him where he's ultimately going. I don't tell him he's going to Koh Samui. He gets to Bangkok. He calls my girlfriend's cell phone and he comes to Koh Samui. Doesn't know where he's going. I meet him at the airport. I get to the airport an hour and a half before casing the place out to see if there's other CIA guys looking for him, covering for him, because I don't know him. So he doesn't know me. I don't know him. It's like a Mexican standoff at the airport. He's looking for spooks. I'm looking for spooks, right? It's like we're both looking over each other's shoulders. And we end up spending 5 days together. And I take him to my office. I take him to my old house. We introduce him to my buddies, etc. And we flew back to the United States together and came in through customs together. And we started doing a podcast. And so for the last 5 years, he and I have been doing a podcast every Friday night, except when I've had the flu twice. And so 5 years, every Friday night, we do a podcast together. And he came to Thailand to see, is this a CIA operation or is this just some guy who knows how to use Lightroom and figure this stuff out?
You just said other CIA agents.
Yeah.
What other CIA agents would there have been there?
Meaning,
you're not talking about yourself.
No. Meaning, I'm assuming he's CIA, and are there 5 other guys? It's like a lead team coming before him. So
but when you say other, that is inclusive of yourself.
No, I meant him. I'm obviously not. I'm a guy with a wife and kids, and the Vegas thing ends up costing me my family. Jake Morphonius gets on the phone with my daughter, and in Thai says to her, "So where do you live?" And she answers him because she's a teenager. She's like 15. And she tells him where we are. And I'm like, oh my God. So he just doxed me on the air in Thai. And that ended up costing me my marriage.
Well, that's unfortunate. I hate to hear that.
Yeah, I hate to hear that. Fuck.
Yeah. So my wife took the kids and she left. And I ended up staying focused on the Vegas thing. And then when COVID hit,